Today, guys, I have a question for you. Have you ever experienced struggles or slowness during the wintertime while trying to fish for bass? Because I sure know I have. Bass can be extremely finicky in the wintertime when it gets cold. So today, I'm going to break down the best lures and how to present them to bass in order to get those really finicky cold water bass to bite. Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of Fishing ATX. Today, guys, like I said in the intro, I'm going to be breaking down my favorite bass fishing lures for the wintertime and just kind of how to present them because, you know, bass can be very, very finicky in the wintertime. They're just extremely finicky. Bass are warm water fish. They don't like it when it gets cold, but they will still bite. And even though it might be slower and you might not catch as many fish, you can still go out there and have a good time and catch fish. Today, I'm going to try and do my best to help you guys out and to show you guys some of my favorite lures and presentations in order to help you guys catch some more wintertime bass. Just this past weekend, guys, I went out fishing and man, I gotta tell you guys, it was slow. I fished for about 7 hours and I only caught one fish. And like I said, guys, I'm gonna break it down how I call these fish and stuff, but the fact is, wintertime fishing for bass especially is very, very slow. Bass are warm water fish, like I said, and especially here in Texas, when the summer times are 100 to 105 degrees, it's very, very tough to catch bass in the wintertime because they're so used to the warm water. When it cools down, it makes them very, very sluggish and lazy. They don't want to bite much, but the lures I'm going to show you guys today will entice them to bite. And like I showed this weekend, they will come up and bite if you have the right presentation and you throw them the right lures. The first lure I'm starting off with today is just simply a shaky head with a grub. This is actually what I caught the fish on this weekend with. And it's a very simple presentation. All you do, or all I was doing, was just chucking out into the middle of the pond, pretty much casting as far as I could, letting it slowly sink to the bottom, and then I would let it sit for a good 10-15 seconds, and then I would just twitch it up ever so slightly, and sometimes I'll give it, like a 3 twitch and just let it sink. You have to work it very, very slowly. I cannot tell you how important it is to work it slowly. If you work it slowly, though, that should entice them to bite because a lazy fish is just sitting there. If it sees just something like that slowly coming down, fluttering, normally that will entice it to bite. As you guys see here, I was honestly just sitting down when I got this fish to strike, but I was just very, very slowly working on the bottom. I mean, I was gotten to the point where I was just really being lazy myself and just sitting down, just slowly doing it. But honestly, that's what entices fish to bite, was just really, really slowing down my presentation, as you guys see here. Got one. It's actually not a bad one too. Stay down, buddy. Let's go, dude. Let's freaking go. Get him up here. Let's go. Oh, that took too long. That took too long, but we got him. Let's go. Yes. Let's go, guys. Heck yeah. Heck yeah. Oh, he's cold. Hooking right out. There we go. That's not a bad bass. Yellow winter-like bass. I was just sitting down. I really let it sit for a long time that time, and he picked it up real hard and ran real hard with it. And there he is. Pretty bass. Actually a pretty good sized bass. I'll give him about 1.5 pounds, honestly. Not a bad fish at all. Not a bad fish at all. Pretty guy. Oh, it just feels so good, man. Feels so freaking good to get a fish right now. Needed him. Needed him real badly. It's freezing, guys. It's so cold. I got my fish. Let's get him back. I really needed that fish too, guys. I gotta tell you that. That fish needed it real badly. I already fished for about probably an hour and a half. I hadn't had any bites. And I got it on the little shaky head with a grub. Again, there's a simple, small presentation. I've been out a couple times last couple weekends. I haven't shown you guys all of them because I haven't been filming as much. But the fish I've been catching have all been on very slow, simple, small presentations like that. And it's been everything from, the little grub to a crawfish to a Cinco. It's just everything like that. The second kind of lure I would recommend throwing is just simply like a jig. I mean, it's pretty similar to the shaky head. I mean, they're both jigs, just one has a skirt on it, And again, a jig, you just flip it up into cover, run it through grass, and you do the same thing. Just flip it out there, let it slowly sink, hit the bottom, let it sit there for a little while, twitch it up. That normally can get a lazy bass into striking it because, again, these fish are just looking for something very slow moving on the bottom. You see, if a jig, especially with the skirt, and you might have a trailer on it, all that fluttering action can normally entice a lazy bass into wanting to strike it. The third lure, I would say, is just anything Texas rig. For example, like a Texas rig Senko, it can either be weightless or with a worm weight or a bullet weight. I mean, it works either way. It just kind of depends on how deep your water is you're fishing and where, and just kind of like what it's like. So for example, say you're fishing a small pond, I'd recommend throwing it weightless just because a weightless Senko or Senko will sink like this, as you guys see here. You see I have my Senko right here, and it just slowly kind of just flutters down like this. Very, very subtle, still action, and that's kind of what the fish are looking for. And then all you have to do to get it up again is just kind of lift your rod tip up or just slightly jerk it up, and that will come up in the air again. Since, I mean, there's no weight, so it comes up real easily, and it'll just flutter slowly back down. And a lazy fish, sometimes that's all you got to do to entice it to bite. If it sees that, you know it'll think it's an easy, quick meal, and that fish will just quickly pick it up, and that's the only way you can get them to bite. A weight, on the other hand, will make it fall a lot quicker, and you can pop it up a little more heavier, more violently. I would recommend throwing a weight in like probably 40s, 50s, but anything below 40 I would probably recommend doing without a weight, just because those fish are so lazy to the point where they're not going to want to bite anything with weight on it at that sinking rate. But I mean, and also going to depend on the water you're fishing too. If you're fishing like 30, 40 feet of water, I don't think you want to throw a weightless Senko because that's going to take like 30 seconds to get to the bottom every time. And let's be honest, most people aren't that patient. I mean, even I'm not the patient. I don't throw weightless Senkos very often just because I'm not very patient. I like to work them faster. But wintertime is a good reminder for even people like me just to slow down. You've got to slow down. For everything on the bottom, slow down. That's what will get you bites. Now my fourth and fifth lure kind of go against what I just said. There's two ways to catch fish in the wintertime. One, like I said, is just slowing down. Throwing stuff on the bottom, very slow and subtle. But another way you can get strikes in the wintertime is reaction strikes. And a good example of getting a reaction strike, probably one of my favorite and best lures to do that with, is a jerkbait. A jerkbait, you know, you'll reel in quickly and rip through the water. Has a very freakish, erratic action of like a minnow or fleeing bait fish. And even these fish, being lazy as they are in the cold water, they'll see that and they'll go right after it. They'll either go for something really slow and subtle on the bottom, you know, they'll pick off as an easy meal, or you can get them, like it's called a reaction strike, because you can entice them to react after that quick bait. And even when they're as lazy as they are right now, they'll still go after it. It's kind of weird because they really don't tend to eat much stuff in like what's just that middle motion, you know, at least from what I've experienced, they haven't done that much. But if you throw them a jerkbait or something, or just quickly burn a crankbait across the water or something, it tends to work really, really well because you can get these fish to react towards it, and especially when it's really cold outside, you can throw it right above a weed line or some fish are sitting. That really tends to set them off, and they'll go right after it, even though you're working it quite fast. But that, again, that's why it's called reaction strike. Sorry guys, real fast, I just realized this while I was editing this video. One last thing about jerkbaits, I forgot to mention this, was that in Texas here, you know, wintertime's 40s, 50s, 60s, so it's warmer compared to up north. Here, you can still work a jerkbait normally, you know, like just your kind of quicker or twitching and reeling in. But when it gets below 40 or so, you really want to slow it down, even to the point where you're just like twitch, twitch, pause. Colder it is, the longer you pause, just give it a pause, twitch, twitch, pause. And when it's really, really, really cold out, it'll still work, but that's kind of what you have to do. I forgot to mention that kind of, but you know, like it'll twitch it and pause, and then it'll suspend, because you know, jerkbait's suspending bait, it'll kind of suspend, twitch it again. And especially in like really, really cold water and really, really cold air temps, like 20s and 30s, it can really get fish set off and go right after that jerkbait. My fifth and final lure I'd recommend you guys throwing is just a square bill crankbait. Square bills are pretty much a bread and butter bait any time of the year. They work for all scenarios, all situations. And like I was saying too, you can just burn that across a weed line too, or just reel it a little bit quicker. And that can also cause fish to have a reaction towards it. You can get a reaction strike out of it. It's very weird in the wintertime to where you either catch fish going very, very slow or very, very fast. That all works. They're very weird that way. Bass are extremely weird, but they like something really slow and subtle and easy to get, or they like something that's going to really entice them and fire them up to go up and get that. Something just burning across like the weed line or just upper part of the water. hopefully, guys, this will help you guys out. Those are just kind of my favorite lures to throw in the wintertime. Those have always worked well for me, and they should work well for you. I mean, this will change a little bit depending on where you live. Like, you know, I live down south in Texas, like the southern areas. This all works really, really well. I mean, you can ask any bass fisherman. These are pretty much everyone's go-tos in the wintertime. But up north, you know, you guys have frozen over lakes and all that. Of course, you do ice fishing. But this time of the year, especially when it's like 30s, 40s, 50s, is very, very tough because at some lakes and ponds, it's even to the point where the tips or just like the very edges are starting to freeze over. And in some cases, that can even be tougher to catch fish than when it's iced over. Because fish, especially when it's in that kind of temperature range, just do not want to bite. And most people don't even fish in the wintertime. Like, they're just like, you know what, screw it, I'm gonna wait for spring. I love fishing. I fish year round, and even though like I went out last week and I only got 1 bite in 7 hours, I still enjoyed going out there and fishing, and I use these kind of tactics, and these will give me bites. Normally I get more than 1 bite, let me tell you that, but you're not going to catch as many fish, period, in this time of the year than you are other times of the year, but these tactics and these methods will catch you fish, and I promise you that. If you go out and try these, you will get some lazy wintertime bass to go and attack your lure. Well, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, remember to leave a like. It'll help me out. And go down below and comment on this video. Tell me if I missed anything. Tell me, you know, Matt, I might have left something out, so let me know. Or like sometimes you guys like to use, because always like to hear the extra feedback. Anyway, guys, if you're not subscribed to Fishing ATX, help me out, subscribe. We have tons of bass fishing videos like this and just helpful information that I'm sure you guys will enjoy. Thank you, everyone, again, for watching this video, and I will see you guys next time back out on the water.